Good morning to all, and to all a happy Sunday. Great news. I will be doing an extra good job today holding the camera because sometimes I don't pay attention to that. So I'm going to be very mindful of not making you nauseous with my camera. Okay, so today's message is about the body. Our body, the bodies get an extraordinary amount of pressure, also known as stress, which resides in our nervous systems. Although it is not limited to our nervous systems, the stress can cause extreme imbalances on many different levels: the organs, the blood, the bones, the brain. Brain is responsible for a lot of neural pathways, i.e. Thought patterns, not thought itself, but the patterning behind the thought. Good morning. And the systems do not forget stress. This is a core and foundational work of who's the fellow? Oh gosh, I don't remember the fellow's name, but he's a psychotherapist and he studies trauma. Bessel van der something. The book is Body Keeps Score. I have not read the book, but I have watched a conference from him, and it was, it's basically what we're talking about today, that the body keeps score. So when we are in a situation, for example, or a dynamic like the victim and the perpetrator dynamic, and we are either the victim or the perpetrator, we have both in us, not just one or the other, because one creates the other. Remember from the previous video I did last week, you cannot have one without the other. So a victim will create a perpetrator and a perpetrator will create a victim. So if we've been in a dynamic like that caused the stress, for example, the memory, the cellular memory, and also the energetic memory codes that. So it's encoded in the system. Okay? And it is so essential. It is so essential that we return to direct experience, which is happening in the physical body. Because the stories that are being told about the traumas and the stresses, and trauma and stress is one thing, okay? They're not different. Scientifically speaking, it is one thing. When we return to our bodies and to our systems, we start to uncover layers of these energetic pathways and these physical memories. So when the body begins to relax, either because of non-duality or in general because the seeking patterns are subsiding, the kind of like when water becomes still, all of a sudden you can see beneath the water all that's there, the rocks and the bugs and all the stuff that's underneath that water. So that comes up. And so energies basically need the physical body or the physical vessel in order to process and experience cohesion. So a lot of times the stress volume can be so extraordinarily high, especially in today's world. Okay, you can probably hear the road next to me. That's a form of stress. Internet, the computer, again, it's a form of stress. Any kind of tension within a relationship, that's a form of stress. Illness, that's a form of stress. So a lot of times these awakening experiences, they are so extraordinarily physical, and if they're not initially physical, then they will become physical. Okay, mark my words, they become physical. So the work that really we're doing is on the body at a certain point of this path. And you know, I just realized I've been building up to that point. So I'm really gonna emphasize it, that that our bodies hold the key that unlocks the maximum potential of the awakening process. So when we learn to tune in to not just physical sensations, but the meanings that we assign to them, so for example, if I'm feeling disgust because I'm viewing a perpetrator, so this comes down to questions I've gotten about morality and judging those that have been predators on innocent human beings. So if the response here is one of disgust, it's not a response that belongs to Kate. It's a response of the body, right? And Kate's an overlay and an identity on top of that. But the natural response, a healthy response to that kind of dynamic would be repulsion or anger or whatever it would be. And in that sense, we can isolate that emotional response and we can say, well, who does that belong to? Well, it belongs to the part of the system that identifies as a victim, right? And so then on that, others can respond to your response. And then we have a house of mirrors, people responding to responses based on responses, and it's just an infinite loop at that point. But taking it back to your system, the part of you that is responding as a no, or as a this is not okay, or this is wrong, that's a autonomous, free response, a natural cohesion of the dynamic at play. So we can isolate that variable, and we can sit with it, and we can be with it, and we can process the intelligence there, the information there, right? Therefore bringing the body back into balance from a response like that, which again would be a form of stress. So ways to cope with stress. Number one, I think walking. Okay, when you're running, you're in fight or flight. When you're working out, you're in fight or flight. Your adrenaline's pumping. You basically are having the same exact response in a workout that you would be having to a tiger chasing you, for example. So it's not always the best way to cope with stress. Okay? Go for a walk, go lay down in some trees, go sit on a rock, and do it for like an hour. Seriously. Another way to cope with these stress responses, drink a glass of clean, pure water. Clean, pure water. Water is an energy conductor, and it could really give you a great sense of emotional balance. Number three, my personal favorite, sleep. Put the system in an absolute state of rest. If you struggle with insomnia, do the meditation thing, or listen to some calming, relaxing music. These are basics, but when you're dealing with extreme charges in the system, which naturally, if you're going through the awakening, physical awakening, meaning the body's sensitivity is becoming extreme, okay, then it's essential to create balance in the system. Okay, these are just such intense frequencies, and maybe not everybody's going through this. Again, this is one point of perception. This is still a story, but it's the story that's coming out from this point of reference. Okay? I like rocks. I hang out with rocks. They make me happy. That's balancing to me. That's grounding to me. Animals, again, balancing, grounding. So I don't want to go off on a too long of a note, but I just thought that this could be a very practical message today, which sometimes, especially when the volume's high, we forget how simple alchemy is. And you are that point of alchemy. Who you are, the truth of who you are, naturally puts all these dualistic energies in resonance or balance, right? Naturally. But the body also is the secondary response to that, meaning that it'll trickle down to the mental, emotional, and physical level. So you will have a hierarchical effect from that point of reference of the truth of who you are. So hopefully this makes sense. Long-winded message, but it's nice to see everybody. Take good care. Bye-bye.